6 months ago, my mother knelt on the ground begging me to donate a kidney to my stepsister. 6 months later, the night before my wedding, my mother knelt on the ground again, pleading with me to give up my fiancé for her beloved stepdaughter. My own brother slapped me across the face. Chloe, how can you be so unreasonable? Don't you know she's dying? It doesn't matter. In another 2 months, I'll be dead too. That should make everyone happy. 1. The night before my wedding, my mother knelt on the ground and begged me, Chloe, please don't get married yet. Let Liam spend some time with Jessica, won't you? Jessica has depression, and her condition worsened when she heard about your wedding. I'm begging you, as your mother. I didn't answer, and then my brother suddenly slapped me across the face. He was furious, the veins in his neck bulging from sheer rage. I smiled at them. Isn't it true that whatever Jessica wants from me, you always expect me to sacrifice? First it was my kidney, and now you want to give her my future husband too? With tears brimming in her eyes, Mom said, Jessica is still so young, she can't be without Liam. Mom promises you, once Jessica's condition improves, we'll have Liam come back to marry you, okay? My brother gripped my wrist. Chloe, stop being unreasonable. We're family. Isn't it good that Jessica is alive and well? Liam knocked and entered, his expression unreadable, still wearing the suit he was supposed to marry in tomorrow. I could see the hesitation between his brows, but in the end he just patted my head. Chloe, wait for me to come back. The three of them hurriedly left, leaving me alone like a flustered clown, with tomorrow's wedding dress still lying on the bed. I stared at the medical report on the dressing table, freshly collected just yesterday. Never mind, I thought, I'll be dead soon anyway. Then everyone will be satisfied. Just like the kidney I donated 6 months ago, even my future husband, everything belongs to her now. 2. Mom has already informed all our relatives and friends. No need to attend tomorrow. The wedding is cancelled. And Liam also informed the groom's relatives that the wedding would be postponed. As the bride, I didn't have the slightest say in the matter. It was just like 6 months ago, when Jessica needed dialysis and a kidney transplant due to kidney failure, and the whole family was required to undergo compatibility testing. I had always been the most inconspicuous presence in this family, but on the day the test results came out, Mom, stepfather Mr. Davis, and my brother surprisingly didn't stay at the hospital with Jessica. Instead, they prepared a lavish dinner for me at home. I've never been treated like this before in my life, to the point where I feel somewhat overwhelmed by the favor. But none of them remembered that I'm allergic to seafood. Mom spoke ingratiatingly. Chloe, the test results are out. You and your sister are a match. You could save her. Staring at the seafood on the table, I suddenly looked up at the three people before me. Do any of you remember I'm allergic to seafood? My brother slammed his fork down in front of me, his face dark with anger. Chloe, our sister is dying, and you're worrying about your seafood allergy now? Mom cried out. Chloe, you must save her. Don't forget, all your tuition and living expenses from childhood till now were paid by Uncle Davis. You should know how to be grateful. That day, a torrential rain poured outside. Mom knelt down begging me. My brother glared at me with hostility, and Mr. Davis cast a pleading look in my direction. I smiled faintly. Mom, if I donate this kidney, can you promise never to make me give my things to her again? My mother hesitated briefly before nodding forcefully. I promise you. I agreed, and the three of them finally breathed a sigh of relief. Watching the heavy rain outside, Mom hurriedly prepared to leave. Jessica is terrified of thunder. She'll be scared without her mother. I'll go to the hospital to stay with her. Left alone in the house, staring at the lavish seafood feast on the table, I suddenly remembered the days before my father passed away from illness, when Mom loved me, my brother cared for me, and the whole family would carefully protect me. When did everything start to change? Perhaps it was 20 years ago, when my father died of illness, and Mommy took my brother and me to remarry Mr. Davis. He was kind and amiable, and his lively, clever daughter was adored by everyone. In contrast, I became withdrawn and taciturn after my father's illness and the sudden decline in our quality of life. Hardly the kind of child elders would favor. Sometimes, watching my brother, Mom, Mr. Davis, and Jessica together, they seemed more like a family of 4. I felt like the superfluous one. Even my prized possessions would be given to Jessica whenever she took a liking to them. Even my own brother, through day after day of being together, grew to favor that sister who shared no blood relation with him. She would snuggle affectionately against his shoulder, would eagerly hop onto the back seat of his bicycle after school, without a care for how awkward and uneasy I felt trailing behind them. Back then, Jessica said to me, Sis, your mom and brother are mine now. You're so unnecessary. By the time I stood there dumbfounded, my eyes reddening, she had already run over to my mother, hugging and cooing at her before turning to stick her tongue out at me. 3. Recalling this memory, I lay atop my wedding dress on the bed. My body was suddenly racked with violent pain, a torment that burrowed deep into my bones, causing large teardrops to spill uncontrollably from my eyes. I curled up on the wedding dress I had painstakingly chosen, weeping like an abandoned puppy. The next day, I packed up my belongings and returned to the small apartment Liam and I shared. I sent Liam a message. Liam, I think we need to talk. Soon Liam's reply came through, a selfie of him and Jessica. He was smiling like that naive college freshman from years ago, his brows relaxed, his expression carefree. I knew Jessica had sent it. Then I called my mom. She answered, dismissing me quietly. Liam is here with Jessica, and she's much more stable now. Alright, I need to go bring Jessica some soup. I tossed my phone aside and looked at the whimpering puppy next to me. It jumped onto me, sniffed at my scent, then settled on my lap. I wondered if the little dog could smell sickness on me. It seemed somewhat dejected. I patted its head. Buddy, Mom needs to take care of something. I'll come back for you. I drove to the hospital. Mr. Davis and Mom were lovingly watching over Jessica while peeling apples for her, while my brother and Liam were helping Jessica level up in her favorite video game. I forced myself to endure the physical discomfort, turned the doorknob, and stepped inside. Jessica's face instantly darkened. She immediately supported Liam's arm, her eyes reddening as she feigned grievance. Sister, won't you let me have Liam for myself? Liam hurriedly stood up and brushed her hand away. Chloe, I was just about to head home. Mr. Davis looked somewhat awkward, but still managed a strained smile. Chloe, Jessica hasn't fully recovered from her illness yet. Once she's better, our whole family will come to your wedding. Jessica seemed to be severely distressed at this moment, clutching her head and screaming uncontrollably. My older brother held her patiently and comforted her. Don't be afraid, Jessica, don't be afraid. Big brother is here. Big brother will always be here. Mother shoved me out the door. Why did you come? Don't you know your presence triggers her? I stared straight into Mother's eyes. Mom, do you still remember I'm your biological daughter? A flicker of hesitation flashed in her eyes before she pushed me away coldly. Chloe, don't be childish. Don't forget it was your Uncle Davis who paid for your college and graduate school tuition and living expenses. You should learn to be grateful. I stubbornly held on to my mother's hand. Mom, I can give all my money to Mr. Davis. Can you please? She closed the door without giving me another glance, and I stood there dumbly, finishing the words I wanted to say. Can't you just not treat me this way? Liam still pushed the door open and stepped out, his eyes filled with hidden guilt. Chloe, there's nothing between Jessica and me. She's suffering from severe depression. I looked at the man I'd loved for 7 years since freshman year and finally let out a long sigh. Liam, during that summer break in freshman year when Jessica insisted on interning in our city, the pet camera at home recorded everything you two were doing every day. His face turned pale as his fingers clenched tightly around my sleeve. Chloe, I didn't do anything with her. I nodded. Yeah, you didn't do anything. You just played games together, binged shows together, walked my dog together, and even when she was badmouthing me, when she kissed you while you were asleep on the couch, you didn't push her away. Chloe, we're about to get married. Liam, we're not getting married anymore. I wanted to pretend, but it seems pretending can't cover up some facts. Jessica is indeed more likable than me. Everyone loves her. I can't keep acting anymore. Like all these years, she'd occasionally send you those cute, adorable selfies, and even though you never responded, you were tempted, weren't you? As I turned to leave, Liam suddenly hugged me. Chloe, I'll go home with you. 7 years of love, 7 years, %%. At that very moment, Jessica's face appeared at the window, then she violently smashed her head against the wall. A loud noise erupted as her head split open and bled, then she glared at me ferociously. Chloe, why must you take everything from me? Liam hesitated. He released my hand, his gaze faltering, then began twisting the doorknob to enter. I knew then, at this moment, our 7-year relationship was over. The shouts of my mother and brother echoed in my ears once more. The most vulgar insults, the filthiest words, all hurled at me, the unwelcome ranger, in their moments of rage. My brother pinned me against the wall, his glare burning with fury. Chloe, why can't you just behave? Are you stupid? Do you have to turn the whole family upside down? I said to my brother and mother, don't worry, Liam is all yours now, Jessica's. 4. No one came after me, not Liam. Heartbroken and lost, I drove home alone. I packed all my belongings and left the apartment we had lived in for 7 years with my dog. It's ridiculous to say that even after 7 years with him, my belongings in this house could be packed away in just a few large boxes. I'm going to find Ava, my best friend, who fled to the grasslands of Montana years ago to enjoy her freedom, disgusted by city life. When I called her, she was herding sheep on the prairie. Ava, I'll drive to join you. I've always said I wanted to see the grasslands. What's wrong, Chloe? Nothing, Ava. I'm already on my way. Speeding along the highway, Ava greeted me at the service station with a tight embrace. Chloe, how did you get so thin? You're just skin and bones now. I confessed honestly, Eva, I might be dying. Eva's eyes widened. Don't joke about that. It's bad luck. Then I held her tightly and said, bone cancer, terminal, not much time left. Eva went berserk, pushing me toward the car. I'm fucking driving you to the hospital for treatment. I shook my head. Eva, I'm tired. I want to see the grasslands, to see your sheep. I can't keep struggling anymore. I want to leave beautifully, without regrets. I left my car at the service area and climbed into Eva's pickup truck. Holding Buddy, I leaned back to rest in the rear seat. Liam's call came through. I took out the SIM card and tossed it out the window. Eva, does Liam know? He doesn't deserve to know. What about your mother and brother then? Maybe long ago, they became just another's mother and brother. The car stopped in front of her yurt, just as dawn was breaking. The sun gradually rose from not far away, its faint light piercing through the darkness. It was Buddy's first time seeing such vast, endless grasslands. He ran and leaped like mad, tongue lolling, radiating pure joy from every inch of his body. I thought, if I were to die, it would be fine for the little dog to remain on the grasslands. Here, he could run carefree without a worry in the world. Eva lit a cigarette, the smoke rings dissipating in the wind, her eyes vaguely reddened. Eventually she stubbed out the cigarette and ground it under her heel, stomping several times forcefully. Damn it, damn it, damn it. Chloe, are you stupid? I was at a loss for words, but she still pulled me into the yurt, then turned her back to me with a sob. Chloe, that bastard Liam promised me he'd take good care of you. Is this what his care looks like? I tugged gently at her sleeve, whispering, Eva, can we not talk about him? 5. When lying beside Eva, her hand never let go of mine the entire time. Her palm had grown slightly rough, rubbing against my hand to give me the most reassuring feeling. I leaned on her shoulder. Eva, am I being weak? I chose to hide. I don't want to see them anymore. No, Chloe, you can never wake someone who's pretending to sleep. Likewise, you can't fight to change your mother and brother's favoritism. It's better to just run away. Pain surged through my body again, turning my face pale as I fumbled for painkillers from my bag. Buddy whimpered softly beside me. Ava's hands trembled as she fed me the medicine. I forced a weak smile. Ava, there's one more thing I need your help with. Ava, my mom always said I've cost Mr. Davis so much money over the years, all my school fees since childhood, plus living expenses during college and grad school. I've saved quite a bit, so could you transfer these $150,000 to their account for me? Ava, you're my best friend, and I hate that I have to trouble you even as I'm dying. That card still has $50,000 left. Consider it my final gift to you, okay? Ava looked at me and heaved a deep sigh. Chloe, you'd be better off keeping this money to focus on getting proper treatment. I shook my head. Ava, I'm out of time. She stopped speaking further, just kept wiping her tears with her back turned to me. I hugged her from behind, saying, Ava, I'm sorry, I've really put you through too much. You're my best friend. If you think it's bad luck, I can die somewhere far away on my own. Chloe, you jerk, I have money too. I have flocks and herds of sheep and cattle. I can pay for your medical treatment. Let's get you properly treated, okay? With reddened eyes, I tousled her hair and said, Ava, you know what? Even standing upright is painful for me now. I want to die beautifully. I don't want chemotherapy. I don't want to lose my hair. And I especially don't want to die in that city where they are. 6. Ava stopped pressuring me to see a doctor. That day, she sat on the grassland for a long time, clutching my medical report. I could hear her sobbing uncontrollably while I was sitting inside the yurt. She transferred the money from my card to Mr. Davis's account for me. My mom rarely called her. Is Chloe still acting up? She went to see you, didn't she? That puts my mind at ease. Tell her we've received the money, just in time for Jessica's treatment. Ava couldn't resist a sarcastic jab. Auntie, if Chloe were dying, would you stay by her side like you do with Jessica? My mother's voice was intense and piercing. Ava, tell Chloe to stop nitpicking with Jessica. Ava couldn't help retorting. Auntie, isn't Chloe's kidney donation enough to repay your years of parenting? My mother paused, offering no reply before hanging up the phone. I knew, I understood all too well. When it came to Jessica, she embodied a true mother's tenderness and care. But with me, beyond pressuring me to grow up quickly and stop bickering with my sister, she never had anything else to say. Even when I got accepted into a prestigious university, she barely glanced at the admission letter, showing no other reaction. Simply because Jessica's grades weren't even good enough for a state university, she was afraid I might upset Jessica. It's fine, I'm used to it. Ava drove me around aimlessly. The grassland stretched endlessly with lush green grass. After parking the pickup truck, we sat in the truck bed while Buddy ran wild nearby. Leaning against Ava, I murmured, Ava, when I die, scatter my ashes here. Next year, this prairie will surely grow even thicker. Eva didn't answer. She took a candy from her pocket and stuffed it into my mouth. All right, let's not talk about those things anymore, okay? Eva burst into tears anyway. I asked the doctor, if the patient doesn't have strong will to live, the illness progresses much faster. You donated a kidney just 6 months ago. You only got sick in recent months, right? I patted her lightly. Eva, I really don't have any strength left. Eva held me tightly, and suddenly I remembered so many things from my childhood. Ava, do you remember? When my father passed away during our childhood, many people bullied me, calling me a fatherless child. Only you stood up to protect me and shield me. Ava didn't speak, only sobbed silently. Her tears fell onto my forehead as I continued speaking on my own. You protected me back then. Before I die, I have one last gift for you. Ava, I've listed you as the beneficiary of my critical illness insurance. You must continue living well. Ava broke down in tears. Chloe, have you even thought about what happens after you're gone? I wiped away her tears. Silly, isn't this grassland your favorite place? Whenever you come here in the future, you'll definitely see me, and my little dog Buddy too. He's such a good boy, just a bit picky about food. Doesn't like dog food, only eats the meals I make for him. I'll teach you how to cook for him these next few days. I'm completely at ease leaving Buddy in your care. He'll be very happy here too. I looked at Buddy wagging his tongue at me from nearby and smiled. How wonderful. This will be your home from now on, my good boy. Ava held me tightly, pleading desperately. Chloe, don't do this. Please don't. Let's get treatment. I don't want your money. I'll take you for treatment, okay? What use is that money to me without you here? Without you, I won't be able to take care of your puppy all by myself. 7. Why waste money on a dying man? I looked at Eva and said gravely, Eva, I don't want to waste any more time. For these final days, please let me maintain some dignity, alright? Blood began streaming from my nose. She frantically tried to stop the bleeding, then suddenly stood up and cried, why can't it be the wicked ones who die instead? She drove me back to the yurt. Under a moonlit sky dotted with sparse stars, even the lambs in the flock had begun settling down to rest. I unlocked my phone and saw Liam's texts. He knew my backup number. The messages were erratic, one moment breaking up with me, the next begging me not to leave. I didn't even need to think. I knew Jessica was behind this, but when a familiar number suddenly flashed across the screen, I still picked up. It's my brother. His tone awkward, yet he still spoke up. Chloe, Jessica really likes Liam. Could you? I didn't let him finish before immediately agreeing. Brother, I agree. I'm not clinging to Liam. If Jessica has what it takes, Liam will be hers. My brother's voice carried a hint of impatience. What do you mean by that? The physical pain left me weak. I laughed softly. Brother, do you remember? When Dad was still here, you used to carry me around everywhere. Brother, I've given all the money to Mr. Davis. Can he give me back my mom and brother? Ethan's voice suddenly sounded alarmed. Chloe, what's wrong? Where are you? Suddenly feeling at peace, I whispered, Ethan, I've given all my money, my kidney, and even my boyfriend to the Davis family. We should be even now, right? Mom won't say I'm ungrateful anymore, will she? Brother, will you still be angry that I wasn't considerate of my sister? She can have it all now. Chloe, where are you? Ethan, if I had a choice, I wouldn't want to be Chloe at all. I hung up the phone as physical pain overwhelmed me again. Through the haze, I watched Ava feeding Buddy in the distance. No, I couldn't let her worry anymore. I forced myself to stand up, stumbling step by step towards them, but I still passed out. When I woke up, my vision had already started to blur. I knew my cancer had long since metastasized throughout my body. I could even feel a cold wetness beneath me. Though I hated to admit it, I'd wet myself. The metastasis of cancer, the complete lack of strength, blindness, and incontinence have stripped me of all dignity. When Eva came in to change my clothes, she didn't say a word. In less than a month, I had drained her to the point of emaciation. Expressionless, she brought Ethan into the yurt. Ethan's eyes were red, and the dark bruises around them were clearly visible. No doubt Ava had punched him while standing up for me. I was stunned for a moment. I really have nothing left to give Jessica. Ethan, could you please stop pressuring me? Can't I even die in peace? The nearly 6'2" man suddenly collapsed to his knees, bawling like a child. Sniffling and wiping away tears, he crawled on his knees toward the bedside. Chloe, Big Brother will take you home, okay? Let's go home for treatment, alright? I won't accompany anyone else anymore. You're my biological sister. How could I? I pushed him away. Ethan, I beg you to stay away from me. He reached out to touch me, but I subtly avoided his hand. He froze for a moment, then suddenly asked with red-rimmed eyes, Does it hurt? Does it really hurt, Chloe? Come home with your brother. I suddenly broke down. The facade I'd maintained all these days finally shattered into something grotesque. Like a madwoman, I cursed at him. Ethan, I'm dying. Stop pretending to be kind. If you truly saw me as your sister, don't ever let me see you again. Ava led him out, and only then did I regain my composure. Ava wiped her eyes. He came looking for me himself. I chased him away. Don't be upset. I don't know what Ava said to Ethan, but he never appeared before me again. Day after day of pain, where even painkillers seemed useless. I gritted my teeth against the agony, only daring to whimper softly when Ava stepped out of the yurt. Buddy no longer enjoyed running outside. He clung to me more, always keeping watch by my side. Despite the pain, feeling every joint in my body swollen and unbearable, I still got up and played one last game of frisbee with him. I flung the frisbee high and far, but Buddy remained unmoved, simply lying beside me while clutching my calf. I ruffled its head. Don't you want to make mommy happy? Go on, fetch it. good boy. Only then did Buddy dash into the distance, though still glancing back at every step, terrified I might vanish. So be it, Buddy, you must learn not to look back. I lied to Ava, saying the painkillers had taken effect and I could slowly stand up and walk. Only then did she cheer up. She truly believed me, thinking there might be signs of improvement in my condition. Ethan never came to see me again, but I could often see many snacks and nutritional supplements outside the yurt, along with a set of Barbie dolls I had dreamed of having as a child. I still remember back then, Mr. Davis only bought one set, 4 dolls, 2 for me, and 2 for Jessica. But Jessica liked all 4 of them. Without a word, Mom put all the dolls in Jessica's room. She even scolded me in front of Mr. Davis. Do you know how hard your Uncle Davis works to pay for your schooling? And you still want to play with dolls? If you have what it takes, earn your own money and buy them yourself. Don't compete with Jessica. Ava hesitated. Ethan, maybe he's truly repentant. So, I shook my head. Ava, even if he genuinely wants to make it up to me now, it won't change anything. I don't need it anymore. Besides, I don't want him to live under the shadow of guilt. Let him leave, and don't come back. Just pretend I'm living well somewhere far away. Eva sighed and said nothing, as Liam's calls began flooding her phone. Eva already despised him to the core, and now her words carried no mercy. Ethan didn't tell them about my illness because I threatened him. If he informed others and brought anyone along, I'd never forgive him in this lifetime. Liam's voice on the phone sounded worn out. Hoarsely, he pleaded, Eva, you're her best friend. Please, tell me where she is. Ava sneered. What? Is Jessica not clinging to you anymore? Depression combined with a weak constitution since childhood, yet still radiating sunshine. Is everyone falling over themselves to pity her now? Liam paused. Chloe has always been such a kind person. I don't understand why this time she insists on pushing me away. Just 6 months ago, she even donated a kidney to her sister. Why can't she tolerate her now? I know Chloe's hurt, but Jessica has depression. She's extreme, prone to suicidal thoughts. We can't just stand by and watch her die, can we? Ava snapped. Then let her die if she wants to. The call disconnected. Suddenly I realized I'd wet myself again. The expression on my face must have been unbearable to witness. Eva picked me up and changed the sheets, then helped me change my clothes. I whispered weakly, Eva, I'm sorry. I'm such a burden to you. She shook her head. Don't say that. Please, Chloe, don't talk like that. To reassure me, she'd still take Buddy out to herd the sheep, living just as we used to. I knew she was afraid I might overthink things. I understood all too well. I took advantage of their absence to pull out paper and pen, writing my suicide note. I simply couldn't endure the excruciating pain any longer, nor bear to burden my friend further, least of all watch my dignity being slowly devoured by this illness. 10. They should live normal lives. Both the suicide note and the insurance policy I bought before falling ill are placed together. In the end, I decided against driving. It would crush the grass. Those vibrant young blades had just begun their lives. Why should they be trampled? I went to pick a horse and saddled it up. With the navigator I had prepared long ago, off to the Mother River, off to the Missouri River. In this life of mine, I have never felt a mother's love. Allow me this selfish wish. Let me die here in the Mother River. I swayed unsteadily atop the horse. I must go faster, even faster, for once Eva finds out, she will surely come with Buddy to find me. I stood by the shore, watched the rushing river, and leaped in. The liquid flooded into my nostrils as I sank unresisting to the riverbed. At this moment, I knew I was finally free. 11. Ava's side story. When Ava returned to the yurt, she realized Chloe was nowhere to be seen. The neatly made bed and spotlessly cleaned floor filled her with unease. Only then did her gaze fall upon the stack of papers resting on the pillow. It was her suicide note, along with the insurance policy she had mentioned before. Buddy seemed to sense something and began to panic as well. The note read, I'm sorry, Eva. I can't bear the pain anymore. I've never known a mother's love in this life, so let me end myself in the Mother River. Eva drove with Buddy, taking a detour along a highway before reaching the riverbank. A group of herdsmen huddled tightly around a small patch of land, and Ava's heart had sunk deep into her bones. She pushed through the crowd and saw Chloe's pale face. The local police conducted an investigation, saw Chloe's suicide note, and didn't say anything more. Ava had frozen in place. Buddy circled Chloe's lifeless body, agitated and pacing. She suddenly remembered what Chloe had said when she first arrived. Scatter my ashes on this grassland. Next year's meadow will surely grow even greener. With the help of the herders, Ava held a small funeral for Chloe. When the flames engulfed the sky, Buddy desperately tried to rush into the fire. Eva held him tightly, tears streaming down her face. Her nerves utterly shattered these past days, Chloe, you bastard. When Ethan appeared with Chloe's favorite snacks, he spotted a red glow in the distance along with a group of herdsmen. He stepped closer. Seeing Ava cradling Buddy and crying bitterly, he kept telling himself that the figure in the firelight couldn't possibly be his sister. He crouched down and looked at Ava. Who was that? Ava glared at Ethan with hatred. Who was that? That was your own flesh and blood, your sister, Ethan. Don't you think it's too late for you to atone now? Ethan froze in shock. How could? No way. How could she possibly be my sister? Ethan was frantically trying to rush into the sea of flames when local herders pulled him back. The fire crackled as it consumed flesh, the sound of skin and bone splitting apart. Ava felt as if 10,000 needles were piercing her heart. When the flames finally died, Buddy lay weeping in the grass. She patted Buddy's head before stepping forward to collect Chloe's ashes into an urn. Standing nearby, Ethan pleaded, "Please give her back to me. Let me take her home." Eva paid no heed to him, meticulously gathering Chloe's ashes bit by bit on her own. She then looked at Ethan. "Ethan, you're not worthy." On a fine day when the sunlight was bright and flocks of sheep grazed leisurely, Eva placed a small pinch of Chloe's ashes into a tiny glass vial, fashioned it into a necklace, and wore it around her neck. She gently stroked the small bottle and whispered, "Chloe, we'll never be apart again." She drove to the place where she had once brought Chloe and carefully scattered her ashes across the grassland. Ethan had been following her the entire time. When he saw the wind scatter Chloe's ashes into the sky, he finally broke down. Falling to his knees before Ava, he pleaded, "Ava, please, let me take her home." Ava suddenly smirked coldly. "Ethan, where does she still have a home? Didn't you and yours tear it down bit by bit with your own hands? Jessica is your sister. Chloe wants nothing whatsoever to do with you." Ethan sat on the ground. Ava said, "Chloe once mentioned she wished to be scattered on this grassland. The grass will surely grow greener next year." Ethan snatched a handful of ashes like a madman and fled. Eva was stunned for a moment, murmuring to herself, "Chloe, they'll all get their retribution. In the next life, don't be family with them again." 12 Ethan's side story. Ethan cradled that handful of ashes, carefully placing them into the pink urn he had prepared long ago. He caressed the box while murmuring, "Chloe, didn't you love pink the most? Big brother is taking you home." But he knew, Chloe would never call him big brother again. He always thought Chloe was still that obedient little girl who wouldn't make a sound or even shed a tear when things she liked were taken by her mother and given to Jessica. Eventually, he even began to believe that perhaps Chloe didn't truly like those things, and it didn't matter if they were given to Jessica. Jessica was sweet-tongued, wrapping her arms around his neck to wheedle, always knowing how to please their mother. He had personally witnessed how hard Mr. Davis worked to earn enough to support the 3 siblings. He understood his mother's humility and caution, and even more so her constant reminder to him and Chloe, "You must learn to be grateful." At first, he felt sorry for Chloe, but as time passed and her temperament grew increasingly peculiar, he found himself without the extra patience needed to care for a hypersensitive and suspicious teenage sister. He thought everything would be fine once she grew up, but at some point, I found myself becoming just like my mother. When Chloe got accepted into a prestigious university, he prepared a laptop to give her, until Jessica asked, "Brother, is this your gift for my college acceptance?" He abruptly nodded yes. It wasn't that he didn't see the disappointment in Chloe's eyes, but he figured it didn't matter. There would be other chances. When Chloe succeeded in getting into graduate school, he bought her an iPhone 12. But before he could give it to her, Jessica discovered it first. "Brother, is this for me?" Ethan refused Jessica for the first time. "This is for Chloe. She got into graduate school without taking the exam." Jessica's eyes turned red, and she burst into tears. "You don't love me anymore. You only love big sister, don't you?" Suddenly, his voice softened again. "Then I'll give it to you." He clearly saw Chloe standing behind the door, but he said nothing. At this thought, Ethan felt he truly was a despicable person. Looking at his own palm, he couldn't believe he'd actually struck his own sister, for Jessica's sake. Tears streamed down his face on the airplane. All the passengers were watching this grief-stricken man weeping uncontrollably. That torrential rainy night when the entire family, including himself, pressured Chloe to donate her kidney. How much pain must she have endured? Ethan couldn't bear to imagine. During the days before her wedding, when her own biological mother knelt begging her to give up her future husband, what unimaginable agony must she have felt? Ethan dared not think further. Closing his eyes, all he saw were Chloe's tear-filled eyes outside the hospital ward. He hadn't failed to notice the disappointment in her gaze. When Chloe said, "Don't worry, Liam belongs to your Jessica now," it wasn't that he didn't want to chase after her. He simply thought he could make it up to Chloe properly later. But he didn't know, on the day Chloe left, there would be no later anymore. 13 side story. After Ethan returned home, his mother and Mr. Davis remained at the hospital keeping vigil over Jessica. He drove to the hospital, where Liam sat outside the ward still calling Chloe's phone. He paused, his voice hoarse. "Stop calling. Chloe's dead." "Liam, What did you say? Liam stubbornly threw a punch at Ethan and cursed, "The fuck you saying?" Ethan wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said, "Chloe is dead." Liam was still itching for a fight when the door suddenly swung open. His mother stood there with a displeased expression. "Ethan, you said you went to find Chloe. Where is she? Tell her to come back and apologize to Uncle Davis. He'll return the money to her, and she doesn't need to hide from us. After all, we're family." Ethan looked at his furious mother, and a sudden wave of malice surged within him. If she learned Chloe was dead, would she break down just like he had? He uttered coldly, "Chloe has returned, but she can't come alone." Mother's rage indeed flared even higher. Jessica ran over at that moment to support her mother. "Mom, don't be angry. Maybe big sister is just mad at me." Ethan suddenly revealed an extremely eerie smile. "She really won't come anymore, because she's dead." Mother frowned. "Have you lost your mind? How could you curse your own blood sister like that?" Liam suddenly grew frantic from where he stood. He immediately called Ava on the phone. Ava's voice came through the phone. "After Chloe died, several names were listed as insurance beneficiaries. I'll return in a few days to help handle the matters." She hung up the phone. Her mother still refused to believe it. "Stop joking with me." Jessica piped up in a shrill voice nearby. "Brother, are you and sister teaming up to scare Mom?" Ethan's gaze settled on Jessica's face as he looked at her expressionlessly. "Jessica, you'd better take good care of yourself. Don't forget you still have one of Chloe's kidneys inside you." Ethan had only come to inform his mother of Chloe's death. Although his mother was half doubting, she still followed him home. When she saw the pink urn, she suddenly muttered to herself, "How could this be? Chloe was always so sensible and obedient, and her health was always good. She passed the physical exam when donating a kidney. There was no problem. It can't be. It just can't be." 14 Side story. Eva drove Buddy back to the familiar city. She stepped into Chloe's home. Her room was cramped and gloomy, partitioned off from the kitchen. In contrast, Jessica's room faced south, bathed in warmth, with a pink princess bed and white curtains. It truly looked like a princess's room. Ava's contempt for Chloe's mother deepened even more. Chloe's mother still refused to believe that Chloe had passed away. Only when the insurance staff and Ava produced the suicide note and death certificate did she collapse to the ground in a daze. Her so-called stepfather, however, remained indifferent. Liam's eyes were red, and even Buddy wouldn't go near him. The insurance agent spoke slowly. "Ms. Chloe Miller purchased this policy 2 years ago, listing her mother, brother, Ms. Ava, and Mr. Liam as beneficiaries. Now that Ms. Chloe has passed away, the compensation amount will be transferred to each account as per the contract." Chloe's mother suddenly broke down in uncontrollable sobs when she saw the suicide note. After all, though the suicide note consisted of just a few lines, each word stabbed like a knife. Not a single sentence mentioned her or Ethan. Before Ava left, Liam begged her to leave the suicide note with him. Eva agreed. If she could make them suffer the torment of a heart being gouged out every single day, it would be worthy of Chloe's agonizing final moments. After handling matters here, Eva took Buddy back to the grasslands. While playing frisbee with him, she suddenly remembered those days when Chloe would crouch by the yurt, teaching Buddy over and over again not to look back. She finally lost control, letting out a piercing cry that shook the heavens. "Chloe, you told everyone not to look back at you, not to remember you. How could I not think of you?" It said that Chloe's mother, after a period of mental confusion, ultimately chose to divorce Mr. Davis. Jessica didn't feel that she had taken anything belonging to Chloe. Even before Chloe's mother moved out, she looked at them triumphantly. "Didn't Daddy marry you just to take care of me? Now that your daughter is dead, you can devote yourself completely to looking after me, my dear stepmother?" Chloe's mother finally came to the bitter realization that the ungrateful person she had been berating all these years was never her own daughter, but rather her stepdaughter, whom she had cherished like a precious gem for 2 decades. She didn't dare to think about what she had done to her daughter before her death. She began to lose sleep, growing increasingly haggard, murmuring every day, "Chloe, Chloe, come and see Mama, won't you? Mama will buy you your favorite doll. Mama will decorate your room like a princess's, okay?" Liam went to a remote area as a volunteer and disappeared without a trace. Ethan became a doctor at a top-tier hospital, and he would watch Jessica every day, until Jessica couldn't take it anymore. "You're not my brother anymore, so why do you keep watching me?" Ethan stared at her coldly. "Because inside you, there's still one of my sister's kidneys." But these acts of atonement all came too late. Too late. 15. Dear Eva, I'm sorry for burdening you during my final month. I couldn't bear losing my dignity to illness, nor watching you drown in endless sheets and trousers to wash. You went to the prairie seeking freedom, yet I selfishly came to you. I'd never been treated like this in my whole life, to the point where I felt overwhelmed by such kindness. But just before departure, seeing the prairie, seeing the Missouri River, I remembered you. Throughout my life, I've never experienced the warmth of family, a mother's tenderness, or a brother's protective indulgence, Yet I've inexplicably been granted the world's most precious gift, friendship. The insurance beneficiary, along with a card I've left behind, are all yours. Because there are still some matters I'll need to trouble you with. Buddy, the little dog I've raised for 4 years. I first saw him when passing by a pet shop, where he was jumping in the display window to catch my attention. Later, the shop owner told me this puppy wasn't considered high-quality stock, so he was being sold at half price. I took it home with me. It stayed with me for a long time, very well behaved, never destroyed the house, just a bit greedy, never liked dog food, only loved the nutritious meals I cooked for it. Now, I entrust it to you. The recipe for its meals is written on another note. Please take good care of it. The prairie is wild and free. It will be happy there. And I hope you won't grieve for me, nor feel sorrow because of me. Also, if Liam comes looking for you, please tell him that we aren't bound by a marriage certificate. He remains utterly free. Don't let moral condemnation stop you from seeking new paths in life. Though already gravely ill, I still selfishly wanted to hold a wedding with him. But life is always flawed, and I feel no regret. Ava, please live freely in my stead. Don't grieve for me. The waters of the Missouri River might be warm. If there's an afterlife, I hope I won't meet my former family again. May I have loving parents and doting elder brothers instead. Ava, don't cry. The end.